Somewhere on your books right now is a client who pays you to find the weaknesses that they can't see in their own organization. And they pay you for one simple reason. Being inside a system makes you blind to it. That's the whole point of an external assessment or audit or diagnostic. So here's my question. Who runs that assessment on your consultancy? A founder in this industry ran it on himself last year. Years into building his firm, he had incredible clients, really great reputation, and here's the honest finding in his own words. Although I said I was running a consultancy, I was really running a contracting vehicle. And I would lay money his finding applies to most cybersecurity consultancies out there right now, including plenty doing €500,000, pounds, dollars, or more. And in this video, I want to show you the difference between a contracting vehicle and a business, why the difference is nearly impossible to see from the inside, and how to work out which one you're actually running. Because the test for it is one you already know how to run, you just haven't pointed it at yourself yet. So here's why I'm making this video now and why it can't wait. Demand for what you do is climbing. There's no question about that. The more companies adopt AI, the more cybersecurity expertise they need, and the numbers back that up. In the World Economic Forum's Global Cybersecurity Outlook this year, 87% of leaders named AI-related vulnerabilities as the fastest growing cyber risk. And a Barclays survey found that 68% of UK businesses plan to increase their cybersecurity spend. And at the time I'm recording this, there are around 1,260 cybersecurity roles advertised on Indeed across Ireland and the UK. That's companies actively trying to buy what you have. Now, you'd think a boom would be great news for a founder like you, and commercially, short term, it absolutely is. But there's there's an uncomfortable part to this. A boom is the best thing that ever happened to a contracting vehicle, but it can be the worst thing that ever happened to the founder who's driving it. Because when the work keeps arriving, you stay busy, the invoices go out, and the structure underneath never gets questioned because it's the anesthetic. Believe it or not, there is actually a cost of staying anesthetized. You can only capture this demand at the speed of your own diary. So every engagement you turn away because you're the one delivering, every proposal that waits because you're the one writing it, that's all revenue that the market hands to a business that's structured to receive it. But one founder I've worked with put his own number on staying stuck at somewhere between 250k and 400k a year. And that was his conservative maths before we count the 50+ hour weeks that he's been working as well. And here's a thought that you might never let yourself have. This could be something that you sell one day, this business that you have. And most technical founders rule that out because they assume that a company that's been built on their own expertise dies with their involvement. But it only has to be true if you leave it that way. For example, the Institute of Directors published a piece by Professor Joe O'Mahony, who advises consultancy founders on exit. And his finding is pretty blunt. Founder-dependent consultancies are valued lower, and their growth chokes at the ceiling of the founder's personal capacity. Buyers can see the dependency even when you can't. So how do you know which one you're running? The test everyone uses tends to be revenue. Turnover is growing, there's money in the bank account, and clients are happy, the team's busy, so you must have a business, right? But revenue can't tell the difference. And here's the sharper version of that, because I know some of you are starting to wonder whether this thing could be sellable one day after I've just planted that seed, or maybe you've already thought about it before. But a contracting vehicle could have a turnover, let's say, of 600 grand a year. And that can show the exact same EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, as a business at 600 grand. It's an identical number on the page, put both in front of a buyer though, and they're worth wildly different money. Because a buyer only pays for the earnings that survive without you. Your accountant can't tell them apart, but a buyer can inside of 10 minutes. And your calendar could have told you 12 months ago or years ago maybe. And this is the part that I find fascinating. The disguise actually gets thicker as you grow. So what I mean by that is at 100 grand on your own, you know exactly what you are. You're a freelancer, a solopreneur, whatever word that you prefer. There's no confusion, and honestly, there's no shame in it either. But at 500 grand or $1 million with a few staff, an office, brand, really good retain our clients. It looks like a business from every angle. You've got payroll and a website and bills for rent and all the things, or maybe even a mortgage, a commercial mortgage, and you've got somebody else to answer the phone. Except every sale still closes because you're on the call. Every scope, every price, every is this good enough to go out the door to the client still comes back to you. The team does the work, but the business only moves when you move. And underneath the payroll and the brand, that's still solopreneur economics, freelancing with overheads. Growth just bought the vehicle better camouflage of sorts. So plenty of founders in this industry, they never fully let go of the freelancer identity. And I understand why. It's the identity that built everything you have. It's the identity that you have formed over years whilst you were earning your expertise and experience. But it's also the identity that's keeping the ceiling exactly where it is and potentially stopping you from selling your business in the future. And nobody sends you a letter when this happens. There's no big signpost moment or anything like that. You just wake up one day with a few staff and somehow more on your plate than when it was just you. Now, here's the bit that I think is going to land the hardest, because it comes from your own profession. Think about what you actually do for your clients. You go into their business, their organization, whatever, and you look for single points of failure. That one server where everything routes through, or the one person who'd take half the operational knowledge with them if they left tomorrow. Or you find that one gap where, the business is exposed and it's a back door that hackers could walk through easily. You find those, you rate the severity, and you tell the client how to mitigate against that risk. Because a system with a single point of failure isn't resilient, no matter how well it's performing right now in this moment. So do me a favor and run that same assessment on your own company. Where does every sale route through? Where does every pricing decision route through? Who holds the standards for what a good client experience or delivery is? Who manages the client relationships? Who confirms what the pricing is? Who has the final say about what does go out to clients? Is it all in one head? Is it undocumented? And is there a backup? The critical finding is sitting at the top of your own org chart. You'd flag it in a heartbeat in a client's environment. Severity critical. Remediation deferred indefinitely because the component in question is too busy to be patched. You'd fail your own audit. I'm sorry, but you would. And here's why you've never seen it. And this is honestly one of my favorite findings in behavioral research, the curse of knowledge. Once you know a thing, your brain loses the ability to imagine what it's like to not know it. So everything you do, the way you scope a project, the way you price that project, the way you can smell a bad fit client on at that first discovery call, it all feels obvious to you. And because it feels obvious, you never write it down. And what never gets written down cannot be transferred to somebody else. Expertise stays locked in, and what can't be written down can't be transferred to somebody else, or can't be automated or handed to AI to execute for you. Your expertise then stays locked inside the one component that the whole system depends on, you and your head. And so the disguise is built into how expertise works, which is why no amount of self-awareness spots it on its own. So 2 mistakes to sidestep once this lands with you, because this is where I watch founders lose some time. The first one is the rescue hire. I'll hire a salesperson. I'll get somebody to lead the delivery. Or I'll hire a bookkeeper to do the invoicing, whatever. That'll fix it. But a hire can't extract what's in your head. Like, there's no divine intervention there where they can read your mind. So if your offer, your pricing logic, and all of your quality standards only exist in you, your expensive new hire becomes one more person standing at the queue at your door to answer questions so that they can get on with what you've hired them to do. And so the hire works after you've transferred that knowledge out of your brain. And if it fails before it, it's an expensive way to find out. The second thing that I see happening is waiting for the quiet period in your business. So I'll structure it when things calm down. Look back at the numbers from the start of this video. Like, demand is rising. The vacancies are sitting there unfulfilled. The regulatory work is high in demand. People don't feel like their companies are compliant. So they need you. They need your services. The demand is not going to stop. The work is going to keep coming. So that quiet period, that's a myth that your calendar is trying to convince you is going to exist at some point. The boom that's feeding your vehicle is the same boom guaranteeing that you'll never actually find the time to rebuild the foundation so you can scale a business and not just grow it. Because when you're growing it, what happens is your overheads grow at the same rate as your business grows. When you scale, your profit margins increase, and that's what makes you attractive to a buyer. So you're going to have to take the time on purpose while it's inconvenient. That's the price of getting this right. It's a fraction of the cost of staying where you're at if scaling is something that you want to do. So if this video has you side-eyeing your own org chart, I've built a scale readiness self-audit for exactly this. It takes 3 minutes to complete. It'll show you exactly where your business is too dependent on you right now, and it's completely free. The link is in the description below if you want it. And here's the thing about the phrase that founder used when I was speaking with him. A contracting vehicle stops the moment that you stop driving it. And that's really the whole definition of this. It doesn't matter how good the engine is or how much it earned you last year. What you want is a business that keeps moving while you sleep, while you're finally at the event that you keep missing, or on the holiday where you don't have to be checking Slack and emails and all those things. That's revenue you can plan around, a month off that the company survives without even noticing. And one day, if you want it, an asset that somebody else would pay real money to own. A contracting vehicle retires the day that you do. You've already got the expertise. The question I want to leave you with right now is, what's it installed in? You already really know how to run this assessment. I want you to point it at yourself.